Welcome to Bedtime Stories. Please make sure you press subscribe to get notified of new stories and, of course, share them with a friend. And now the tale of the Frog Prince. There once was a princess with a smile more dazzling than the sun. She lived with her father, the king, in a palace surrounded by thick woods. When the weather was very hot, the princess would walk into the shade of the forest and sit by a pond. There she would take out her favorite toy, a golden ball her father had given her. Over and over, she would throw it high up into the air and catch it again. One day the ball slipped from her hand and fell into the pond with a splash. The pond was so deep she couldn't see the bottom. "My beautiful golden ball!" sobbed the princess. She cried as if her heart would break. Her tears drip-dropping into the water. The princess thought her favorite toy was lost forever. An ugly speckled frog popped his head out of the water. "Why are you crying?" he asked. "I have dropped my precious golden ball into the water," she cried. "What will you give me if I fetch it back for you?" asked the frog. "You may have my jewels and pearls, and even the crown on my head," sobbed the unhappy princess. "I don't need any of those things," said the frog. "If you promise to take care of me and be my friend, let me share food from your plate and sleep on your pillow. Then I will bring back your golden ball." "I promise," said the princess, but she really didn't mean it. As the frog swam down into the murky water, she thought, "He's only a silly old frog. I won't have to do any of those things." When the frog swam back up with the ball, she snatched it from him and ran all the way back to the palace. That evening, the princess was having dinner with her family when there was a knock at the door. "Princess, let me in," called a croaky voice. When the princess went to open the door, she was horrified to find the speckled frog sitting in a puddle of water. She slammed the door and hurried back to the table. "Why do you look so frightened?" asked the king. "Was it a witch?" "No, father. It was a frog," replied the princess. "What does a frog want with you?" asked the puzzled king. The princess told her father all about losing the ball, and the promise she had made to the frog. "Princesses always keep their promises, my dear," insisted the king. "Let the frog in, and make him welcome." The princess did as she was told. As soon as the frog hopped through the door, he asked to be lifted onto the princess's plate so that he could share her food. When the frog saw the look of disgust on the princess's face, he sang, "Princess, princess, fair and sweet, you made a special vow to be my friend and share your food, so don't forget it now." The king was annoyed to see his daughter acting so rudely. "This frog helped you when you were in trouble," he said. "You made him a promise, and now you must keep it." The princess had no choice. She lifted up the damp frog onto her plate and watched as he nibbled at her food. For the rest of the day, the frog followed the princess everywhere she went. She hoped that he would go back to his pond when it was time for bed, but he did not. When darkness fell, the frog yawned and stretched. "I am tired," he said. "Take me to your room, and let me sleep on your silken pillow." The princess was horrified. "No, I won't," she said. "Go back to your pond, you slimy creature, and leave me alone." The patient frog sang, "Princess, princess, fair and sweet, you made a special vow to share your food and be my friend, so don't forget it now." The princess had no choice but to take him back to her room. She couldn't bear the thought of sleeping next to him, though. So instead of placing him on her pillow, she put him in a corner on the floor. Then she climbed into her bed and laid her head down on the silken pillow and went to sleep. After a while, the frog jumped onto the bed. "It's drafty on the floor. Let me sleep on your pillow, as you promised," he said. The sleepy princess felt more annoyed than ever. She picked up the frog and hurled him across the room, where he landed with a smack on the floor. The frog lay dazed and helpless. The princess shook herself properly awake and saw the frog lying still. She was suddenly filled with pity. She couldn't bear the thought that she might have hurt the poor thing. "Oh, you poor darling," she cried, and she picked him up and kissed him. The frog transformed into a handsome young prince. "Sweet princess," he cried, "I was bewitched, and your tender kiss has broken the curse." The prince and princess soon fell in love and were married. They often walk into the shady forest and sit by the pond, tossing the golden ball back and forth and smiling at how they first met. Thank you for listening to Bedtime Stories. Please make sure you subscribe to follow us for new stories and leave a rating. If you enjoyed today's story, forward it to a friend. If you have a suggestion for a new story, send us an email, magicmonorail@gmail.com. Until next time, good night. Would you like to make a podcast? Spotify has a way to let you make one easily, distribute it everywhere, and even earn money, all in one place, for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit right from your phone or computer, so you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. And video podcasts are also available on Spotify. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free. You know, ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I've enjoyed sharing my favorite stories with children around the world. If you've ever thought of starting your own podcast, download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started.